You ever just look at the world and wonder, is there some kind of hidden logic to all this? Well, today we're going to dive into the Buddhist explanation for karma and rebirth. It's a system that suggests our reality isn't random at all, not even a little bit. I mean, it's a question we've all asked, right? Why do good people seem to get the short end of the stick, while some really terrible people just prosper? It seems so chaotic, so unfair. This apparent chaos really troubled ancient thinkers, including the Buddha. But what if it's not chaos? What if there's a system hiding in plain sight? You see, Buddhist philosophy offers a pretty radical answer. It says that life isn't chaos at all. Instead, it's driven by this powerful, predictable, three-part engine that is constantly churning, constantly creating our reality. And that engine is what's called the cycle of haki-up-go. It all starts with hook, or delusion. This delusion then compels us to take hi-up, or action. And that action inevitably leads to go, which is suffering. And the crazy part, that suffering just feeds right back into the delusion, locking us into this cycle that just keeps turning lifetime after lifetime. Now, when we hear the word delusion, we might think of some complex philosophical idea, but here it's way more primal than that. We're talking about stuff that's literally wired into our biology, the drive to eat and the drive to procreate. From this perspective, these two things, appetite and sexual desire, are the foundational delusions that get the whole engine started. Okay, so if our basic biological drives are the fuel for this engine, what's steering the car? What actually governs the outcome? Well, the answer is a very strict, very impersonal law of cause and effect that cuts right through that illusion of chaos. This right here is the absolute core of karma. It says nothing is an accident. Think about that. Your life, right now, your health, your wealth, your relationships, all of it, is a direct printout of the actions you've taken in the past. And every single choice you make today is planting a new seed for your future. But hold on. If this law is so strict, why doesn't it feel like it? Why do we see bad people winning all the time? Well, the answer is this key principle called isuk. It basically means that karmic results ripen at different speeds. It's like planting a seed. You don't get an apple tree the second you put the seed in the ground, right? It takes time to grow. And that delay between the action and the result is what creates the illusion of randomness. So once you factor in this karmic time lag, you can actually start to see a pattern. It reveals these four fundamental paths, or you could say four combinations of actions and results that can really define our journey through life. All right, take a look at this. I know, at first glance, this table might look completely backwards. The best path, believe it or not, is when you do something good and actually lose something in the short term. Why? Well, think of it this way. You're paying off an old karmic debt and making a huge deposit into your karmic savings account at the same time. On the flip side, the absolute worst path is doing something terrible and getting rewarded for it right away. Sure, it feels great in the moment, but you're burning through any good karma you had while racking up a catastrophic debt that, well, it's going to come due. A simple financial analogy makes this logic just click. It's perfect. The best path is basically like being a super smart investor. You sacrifice a little now for a huge payoff down the road. The worst path, man, that's like going on a wild shopping spree with a credit card that has an insane interest rate. The immediate gratification is awesome, but the bill that eventually arrives is going to be absolutely devastating. So once you really grasp this framework, this karmic logic, two fundamentally different life goals emerge. The question becomes, do you use this knowledge to build a better life inside the system, or do you try to escape the system entirely? So on one hand, you have the path most people take, using the system to build up good karma to get a better life, a more fortunate rebirth. On the other hand, you have the monastic path, which isn't about getting a better rebirth, but about getting out of the cycle of rebirth altogether. It's about seeking total liberation, or nirvana. So the question is, are you trying to win the game, or are you trying to just stop playing? But wait, why would anyone want to escape a system where you could, in theory, build a life of wealth and happiness? Well, the goal to escape is rooted in this really deep insight that any state within the cycle, even the most amazing, blissful one, is temporary. When we cling to that pleasure, its eventual loss, or even just having too much of it, becomes its own kind of suffering. Think about your absolute favorite food. If you had to eat it for every single meal, every single day, it would eventually become a kind of torture, right? That's the idea. So, in the end, it doesn't really matter if your goal is just a better life or total liberation. The principle is exactly the same. The actions we take right here, right now, are not just fleeting moments, they are the seeds of our future. And that leaves all of us with a pretty powerful question to ask ourselves: what kind of harvest are we cultivating?